back to the channel. I apologize in advance if I sound terrible and look terrible. That would be because I have the flu. And not that I look great when I'm feeling well and at 100%, but boy, right now I've had a severe beatdown, and I'm sure all of you with little ones can relate to me how this starts at preschool and then moves through your entire house. Even for me, moving to another house to try and avoid getting ill did not work. So I'm completely sick, but want to knock this out. A lot of you have asked me, how did the X get on Donut Media? And if I have any tips of how you can get your own cars on Donut Media. Well, I can shed some light on that. First thing, of course, we need to go back in time. And what happened was, as some of you will remember, that my bro Abel was going to run the 8 in Orlando for his comeback tour. However, because of unforeseen circumstances, he wasn't able to make the event. Well, that was very difficult for me because I had already bought tickets and I was there when I found out. So lo and behold, I had planned to go to the event to cover that for him and then take Drew and Natalia to Disney World. But it wasn't all bad for me because I was staying on Universal property, so I just decided to go to Universal for a few days, then take my family to Disney World. The ironic thing is, as most of you know, I don't do a whole lot of work on IG, but I was over there and had a few shots I wanted to post to the X. Then all of a sudden I got a DM. And it was strange because this DM came from just this regular type of IG. The IG handle was very clever. However, it didn't say officially from Donut Media or anything, so I thought I was possibly getting punked. But this woman introduced herself as Christina, said they were interested in covering the NSX on Bumper to Bumper. I proceeded to ask her which NSX because I have two. The one we're driving now and the Pro Car. And even at that point, they weren't completely sure. So after talking to her back and forth, it did seem like they were gravitating towards the Pro Car. And I told her that I was on vacation, so she recommended that we touch base when I got home. And seeing that I didn't know for sure if it was a real deal, I just kind of set it aside. Even looking at her IG, it said producer of Donut Media. Some of the pictures looked like they were from Bumper to Bumper, but you never know, right? Like I always said, I'm sure all of you follow the same path. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. So after I returned home, then she did contact me with the official Donut Media email letterhead, and I started to believe it was a real thing. For all of you NSX owners that follow the channel and are possibly wondering, very good news. The AC in the NSX is still working fine. However, I'm not really using it since I'm completely sick, but at least I'm happy to report that. All right, well, to my knowledge, everything is good. Drew did a phenomenal job. Look at how clean this thing is. It's better than it was when it was running full time. But now the deal is we need to get it back on the ground. And I don't know if I can remember even how to do it. It's been such a long time, but from what I can tell, the rear first. So let's give it a shot and see if I can get it back down without breaking anything. So looking good?
Yeah. Looking good.
All right, so good news, we're on the ground. Now the key is the 7 and the SV are in the way, so they have to be moved out, and we've got to get the NSX out. This is a very long process, but at least nothing was damaged in getting the car back on the ground. We are heading down south to meet up with my friend Christina and the crew at Donut Media. So let's hit the road and keep our fingers crossed that everything goes well. Well guys, we made it down. We got to the studio It is definitely an environment that I'm definitely not used to, but everything has gone well, and the people at Donut Media were nice enough to take care of us, so they put us up at the USC Hotel, and you can see it is a bright, nice, sunny day. Oh, maybe too bright. You get an idea of how it looks there. So now we'll head over to the studio and see if we can get the X unloaded. After some trials and tribulations, but everything seemed to go quite smooth other than that. We're here at Donut Media Studio to go ahead and get the X unloaded. You can see it's still in good shape. Just want to say a huge thanks to Kenji Nakamura coming out to help me with the X, and of course my dad joined in on the fun. So we'll see if we can get this thing taken apart and unloaded now. Able to get the X in Donut Media Studio. I'm not sure if it's some sort of universal law, but every studio we go to, it's always really difficult to get inside. There's always some sort of obstacle that makes the job much tougher than you would think. Actually, the studio is enormous. You can kind of get an idea at the depth. If you look really far back, you can see the shadowing of the building, but this studio could house tons of cars and has all the professional lights up on top, but the X barely fits through the doorway. It's really strange. And look back there, you can see how much room there is towards the back of the building. It is literally enormous, and it's really designed for cars. But the doors were so small, we had to disassemble the X just to get it inside. Kind of an interesting thing, but you can see how nice it is. Now take note, if you can see on top of the X, there's this little thing that looks like an antenna. I had no idea what that was doing on top of the X, because usually to get wraparounds I use a drone. But what they did was they used that to actually center the car. So when they do those really cool shots that circle the car, they actually use a cameraman on a wheelchair, and they circle the car, and then in editing they use that to find the focus point of their tracking. It's really unusual. I've never seen anything like it. Look at the left of the screen. You see that girl right there? Her name is Sarah. She did an amazing job writing the script for the show. And the crazy part about it with her is that she is actually married to a gentleman named Dave Coleman. And I don't know if any of you know Dave Coleman, but he's been in the industry for longer than I have. When A&O Racing started, he used to work at a company called RS Akimoto. I don't know if any of you remember that, but he then moved on to Sport Compact Car. He is a basically certified genius. He has worked with me for a long time. We even went to Japan together, working on some projects at the Tokyo Auto Salon. Very nice guy, but such a small world. That's actually his wife, and she did a phenomenal job on the script and was a whole lot of fun to work with. I fired the X in the building before Nolan did his thing to warm it up, and I was concerned everyone was going to die of asphyxiation from so many fumes because the building was already full of fumes, and then Nolan did this. If you look at the center of the screen right there, that girl sitting down on what looks to be some sort of box or stool is Christina, and she really was the point person or driving force behind what was going on, and as all of you know, made the initial contact with me. But she was on top of everything, making sure everything was done just right. They have a really nice teleprompter. I sure would like to add that to my shopping list. The only problem is I couldn't get a shot because I'd be in frame behind Nolan for all of you to see it. But you can get an idea of just the massive amount of equipment they have. And there, of course, is the amazing staff. We were hoping to get out of there early. As you could see, it was dark by the time we finished, as most of the time these things do not go as planned. Well guys, it has been an extremely long day. We just finished loading up the X and are getting ready to head out. I just wanted to give a huge thanks for Kenji coming all this way to give me a hand, and of course my dad. I can't thank you enough, my man. Thank you for everything. Really appreciate it, my man. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye. I hope all of you enjoyed that look at what went down when we went to see my friends at Donut Media. The trip was amazing and quite the experience. Most of my experience has always been with magazine shoots, very few video shoots, and nothing like that with a full-scale production crew. So just like Donut Media, I already shot the video with Hoonigans on Build Biology on the X, and I'll say that it is something like the law of diminishing returns. It was really exciting to do Donut Media and still exciting to do Hoonigans. It just fell off a bit. But as most of you know, there are very few things in life that don't fall into that category. One is possibly driving my toys. The other is something else that we really don't want to talk about here on the channel. Well, one thing the X sure has done is put me really far behind on all my other projects, so I need to work on all of those, and now, as it never ends, I'm getting pressure from my buddy John to get the 7 down to Hoonigans for build biology and daily transmission. So the next step would be to put the 7 on the dyno. Everything is solid as can be before I head down to Hoonigans again. Something to look forward to for all of you rotary people. Also, if any of you have any good flu remedies that you would be kind enough to pass on to me, I would greatly appreciate it. I am now pumped up on quite a few meds that my uncles have passed on to me, but I'm always researching other ways to get well faster or alleviate the pain. Comment below, I would greatly appreciate it. I just want to send a big thanks out to Christina, Felipe, Sarah, and Nolan. All of them at Donut Media were just true professionals and made my life a whole lot easier. And of course, my dad and Kenji for making the trip and helping me with the X, for which I could not do it on my own. For all of you that asked how to possibly get your cars on Donut Media, I really think it comes down to what they're looking for. But what I will say on that is that, at least through my experience, it was all done through IG. So, if you have an amazing car, I would highly recommend that you keep your IG up to date, because that is at least how they found the X, and maybe it'll help you. You could, of course, even maybe contact them if you wanted to, but don't tell them I said that. And on that note, I hope all of you stay well. I'll see you next time.